Allison Leanne Ketchy, sorry. Allison is here. She probably cannot sit here because she's still in her meeting. And then next on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes. So I'm presenting a motion to approve the minutes for today's meeting. Does anyone second this motion?
Well, actually, we don't have a quorum, so
we can't do that. You're definitely right about that.
Right. So we could just ask if there are any questions about the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So next on the agenda, we have our general business. Starting with committee reports. So with the community outreach committee, what is the specific name? I don't want to missay it, but I did reach out. I think I emailed you this, Dr. Christian. I did reach out to Wake Forest's campus is a very you have to know who to go to about what, and I reached out to the director of auxiliary services about the project. He is on maternity leave. They pointed me in the direction of somebody else who told me to then go to the people that supply the food on Wake Forest's campus. I met with them and they basically said that they wouldn't be interested in engaging in the project. But now that I think about it, that was kind of stupid to go to the people who supply the food and ask them hey, can kids reroute their money elsewhere? But that's yeah. So the person I could have gone to that probably would have given me the correct answer. He's out on maternity leave, and everybody on his team is not really the most cooperative, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my end. I did also ask my advisor who she thought would be ideal to go to, but she kind of didn't know because the business school just really stays in the business school world. They don't really interact too much with the other end of campus.
Right.
Which is warranted. There's a lot going on in there, but she didn't really know which direction to point me in.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my, not committee report, but that's my report on the outreach that we were supposed to do.
Okay.
Also, Ms. Tabitha, I seen your email about the breakfast on the 28th. I am willing to volunteer. I believe you said it's at 6:30. No, you didn't say a breakfast.
It's the student banquet, and it is at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, yeah, I am willing to volunteer.
Okay, thank you for that. So far as you and Jordan, she said she was available.
Okay.
So definitely not quite certain what Allison has found out on her campus, but we definitely want to, again, start to really narrow down and solidify a process that we're going to use as we look to roll out this food insecurities initiative. So some of the questions that we really want to pose to the group would be, of course, what and how exactly do we want to roll this out? Do we want to start at just one university on one campus? And again, I think it all depends on what everyone finds out at their respective schools. So once we definitely have everyone in attendance, then we can move forward with answering those questions and then just, again, laying out how we want to do this step by step so that at the end, when it's time in, what is it, May, I believe it's May, when we go before the board, city council, you guys can give a report of how you want to implement this moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and since we are short, tonight, I'm thinking the best road to take, so to speak, is just to see if we can send out an email to everybody so that we can keep the ball rolling on this. Just send out an email to everybody and kind of see who they are in this process with their research for their campus. And then, of course, we just keep the ball rolling via email to start putting things in place. And then from there, we can start to put something together on paper.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And are you willing to, sorry, Dr. Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking if that made sense.
Yes, that does.
Okay.
And I am willing, like, if it can't happen on Wake's campus, because I don't know when he gets off of maternity leave, like, I did want to still ask, but if it can't happen on my campus, then I am willing to go, like, to WSSU or, like, Salem if they approve. And
Right.
It just won't be. That's perfect.
I did talk to, sorry, I am, like, stepping out of the meeting for a minute. I did talk to Salem, and they did not approve it.
And they did what, Allison? Say that one more time.
They did not approve like the possibility of using funds for farmers market.
Oh, okay. However, there are students on that campus as well as Wake that are having some issues with food insecurity, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I explained. That's what I was trying to explain to the guy. And he was basically on some like, sorry for the, but he was just like very no. And I was like, he was like, well, the pit is always open on the weekends. And I'm like, I don't think he was looking at it from a perspective of like, say if you don't have, say if like you only had enough to pay for tuition and like your meal plan isn't even included in what you pay in tuition, then you don't have access to the pit. And the pit on Wake's campus, not to bash my school, I love it to death, but it's not, when I was at Clark and you didn't have a swipe, the people would be like, you don't got a swipe, baby, you could come right in because it's food. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that on Wake's campus. Like if you don't pay and you don't have that swipe, you cannot get in that cafeteria. So I think that his reluctancy, whatever the word is, to like approve and like go forward with it was really not understanding the perspective of a student who really is food insecure. Like, and I was talking to my mentor about it, and I was telling her like a lot of the times when we attempt to roll out programs like this and like projects like this, a lot of people who've never experienced it or don't know anyone who has experienced it don't really see the necessity in having it. Like they feel like, why should we have this when we have this? When in reality, like what you have is not accessible to everyone. For example, I know a lot of grad students last semester, towards the end of the semester, when you come in, you get your refund check, you got a little bit of income because you saved over the summer, you have money for like groceries. But towards the end of the semester, because we can't work in my program, when students started struggling, it was like, where do you go for food? Because you can't pay for expensive groceries. The pit is not letting you in without a swipe. The swipes are $18. So it's just like, I don't really think that he just understood that even having that option. And that's what I was trying to tell him. Like, okay, yes, the pit is open, but students should still have the option to go elsewhere. And he was just on some, well, why would we, first his initial reaction was like, why would we use student bucks to pay for people in the community's food? And I'm like, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying students are gonna volunteer their bucks to help other students. And he's like, yeah, still no, that's not the best idea. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah, and as for Salem, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
As for Salem, we had a pretty similar reaction when I like brought it up to our dining services director. He was like, there's no reason for that. Like we have fresh food in the refectory, but as for us, our meals in the refectory are only $8. So it's not as much of a price as it is in Wake's. But he was like, there's no need for that. But I did bring up the idea that we had talked about first about like students donating unused meal swipes to the cafe on campus for off-campus students. And he said that he'd be more willing to try to work with administration on that, but he would not be willing to bring it to an outside resource, such as a farmer's market.
Okay. All right. So perhaps if on campus is not a viable option, then of course with the Fresh Market downtown, similarly to what was done with WSSU, if we can get a tie-in that way with the Fresh Market downtown with those students, that might be a better angle. That way we're not concerned with Wake's campus or Salem's campus, but primarily we are focusing in on the students. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So that's like the great.
It does make sense, but I do not think that Salem will be allow us to use our points outside of the refectory or cafe, which is why they're more willing to use willing to investigate the options. For using the budget that we have, they were more reluctant to bring it off campus and allow students to go to a farmer's market for fresh food off campus, but they were more willing to do it for students on campus for their meal plan.
Allison, I'm not sure I followed you. So you're saying that they are not amenable to allowing students to use their books off campus, but they're open to students using their books on campus?
Yeah, they were saying that they're not allowed to use it on off-campus options, such as a farmer's market, but they are willing to allow students to look into further resources to allow students who are on campus to have the other options if they do not have a meal plan.
Okay, so there is a window of opportunity at Salem, right?
Can you say that one more time?
So there is a window of opportunity at Salem.
Yes, there's a tiny window of opportunity to see if students can donate their unused meal swipes to other students who don't have the meal plan. He said he'd have to look into it further if that's the option we wanted to partake, but they're not going to be willing to allow students to get their money and bring it off campus to a farmer's market.
Okay, good. Okay, so in other words, so what actually needs to take place then, of course, is to talk with that person to come up with a systematic way to implement on campus.
Yes, correct. He's willing to look into it further and collaborate with his supervisors and our administration to see if that will be a possibility.
Awesome. Okay, good. All right. So that's where we are. So why not, moving forward at this juncture, we just send out the correspondence to the other CAB members, find out where they are in the process, and then of course have them to start working with their representatives to kind of find out how they can get the ball rolling. What's going to be the step-by-step implementation process. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hopefully Winston-Salem State is cooperative.
Well, yeah. Initially, the initial project centered around WSSU, so they were very open to that. So I'm pretty certain that they we'll be open to it again this year. So all we want to do is just, again, get with everyone and just start mapping it out. How are we going to do it?
Okay. And I know a couple of people that go there. So is it okay if like I find out who would be a good point of contact and like reach out to them myself, or should I leave that to the people that are on campus?
Well, yeah, I think Jordan and Jacob are working on those pieces.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's give them an opportunity to see what they come up with.
Okay. Good.
Awesome. What else do we have?
Old business was really discussing what we're actually discussing now, like going over who would do what, methods of outreach. We reviewed how everyone, sorry, let me close my door. We reviewed how everyone felt at the prayer breakfast, the experience it was, and correct me if I'm missing anything. I don't think we really had anything else discussed. This meeting was really supposed to be like feedback from everybody's outreach.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any new business?
New business on my end. No, side note, Dr. Christian, the lady reached out to me in my interview for the internship is next week. So I'm happy about that. But going back to new business, no. I'll reach out to. There was a guy that my advisor told me to speak to in the Deke One card office. It's like the office that puts the bucks on the card.
Okay.
He told me to speak to him. When I emailed him, he was out of office and he didn't have a return date. But I'm gonna try to go in person this time because also through email people just don't reply. But I can reach out to him and ask like if just repose the question to him.
Okay.
Be willing to do it because again, it was kind of like not the smartest idea to go to the people that Wake Forest pays with the dining bucks to ask if they'd be willing to like take a cut basically and allocate the funds elsewhere. But I can also reach out to him.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, let's move forward in those veins and see what we can come up with. Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else?
No, sir, not on my end. Also, happy Valentine's Day, everyone, because we won't speak tomorrow.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you guys.
Yeah. Upcoming events, of course, we've got Tabitha. You want to talk about that for a minute? Upcoming events.
The Student Banquet Award, which is again on the 28th at 6:30 at the Embassy Suites downtown. It basically recognizes students in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools for accomplishments that they do kind of behind closed doors. So what we'll need your help with is like ushering people in, getting them seated, as well as helping the lineup for the pictures. After they get the award, we get a picture of them and their family. So somebody will need to help make that flow easy. So those would be the things we would need help with. So
we should have members from YAC as well as the HRC and possibly AAHI to also help along with staff.
It's the 28th of February, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
At 6:30. 6:30?
Yep.
Suites?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. So what's the plan?
Oh, another thing I would like to mention is the showcase of songs. It's coming up as well. and our diversity month. We need choirs and performers. So if you know anybody, a chorus at your school or somebody that has a choir that's willing to come to City Hall and perform, that would be great.
Does it have to be a choir? I know somebody that plays the saxophone.
No, I'm thinking that would be fine.
Okay, perfect. I'm definitely
If you send me the email with the information, I'll forward it to Julie.
Okay.
And we can go from there.
Okay, got it.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so moving forward, we just go ahead and send out a group email to everyone. You guys can do that. Reba, if you don't mind doing that.
No problem.
Yes, now a group email to everyone and just ask them to give a written report on what they found, and then be able to start the discussion on next steps on how to solidify the process on their campus, and then we can pull it all together and put it in one document as a part of the city council report in May.
Okay, will do.
Now, when we send that email, are we following up with another virtual meeting, or are we just doing the email replies? Do we want to bring it, since we didn't have a lot of attendance today? Will we, do something maybe closer to the end of the month, or are we going to wait until the next CAB meeting?
Well, yeah, definitely. We want to see if we can circle back.
Okay.
And see if we can pull everybody in, at least by the end of this month.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we could still make up for lost time today.
Right.
Right. But what we want to do with that email, of course, is to generate some momentum. Since we, a shortage of attendees tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. So we'll do that. But with that said, however, the next scheduled meeting is what? March the.
That would be.
I believe it's like the 13th. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
It would be the 12th.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we go ahead and say March 12th. And yet, some idea. Start thinking about once we get the ball rolling again with these guys. See if we can pull them together prior to that. At least by the end of this month.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I hope y'all have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.